So getting to the story of losing my life, or nearly, or should have, was me thinking I was a rock star, thinking I was 10 foot tall and bulletproof, partying Thursday through Sunday for the most part, living for the weekends. I had little odds and end jobs throughout high school and even outside of high school, doing helper type work that would just give me some money for the weekends type of deal. Again, graduated high school, went to college, community college, didn't have a path or a vision. So I just did it because that's what you were supposed to do. And didn't want to be there, would skip a lot, would go drink instead, find my way into what I thought was fun at the time. Nonetheless, went to a party one night, one weekend, and don't really remember what all happened at the party, which wasn't a rarity in my case, and decided to get in my car and go home. I wanted to go sleep in my own bed. I don't remember getting in the car. I don't remember leaving the party. The people that were there that night, I just said, Austin just disappeared. So I hopped in my car, supposedly, went home because that's where I got close to and wrecked. I made it about a mile away from home and ran off the road. I didn't have anybody else in the car with me. I didn't hit anybody. Fortunately, it was 3 or 4 in the morning, so nobody else was out. Very fortunate of that, but ran off the road, flipped my car a couple times, and that's where things took a turn. EMS, first responders came, got me after somebody had called that somebody landed in their front yard. And I was taken to a hospital to where they realized that I had ruptured my intestines. So like perforated my bowel. I broke both my legs from the knees down.
Welcome to your Wordless podcast, the space where we redefine success, self-worth, and transformation. I am Nick Nieras, the soul-centered architect of transformation, helping you unlock your highest potential and build a legacy beyond limits. Now, whether it is self-mastery, career breakthroughs, or wealth creation, this is where change begins. Now let's dive in. Wordless. Read that again, the juxtaposition of your very soul. Now, today we're going to talk about breaking limiting beliefs. And we have Austin Page here with us, founder of GymFlo Coaching. Now, he is your guide to help break your self-limiting beliefs and build yourself into a person you would admire. From living a reckless life and of vices and following the crowd that almost cost him his life, to now chasing each day with purpose and intent. His words, we are only as good as the example we set. Welcome to the show, Austin.
Thank you for the great introduction.
Okay, Austin, I'd like to take my guests and my listeners a trip down memory lane first off before we get into the nitty-gritty of the conversation. Can you first share with us, what was it like growing up as an Austin Page?
Sure. Well, growing up, I would say an average upbringing, had great parents, didn't really have to want for much, had things taken care of so well that I even went to private school for most of my schooling years. I did go to public school. I did graduate in public school, but I went to private school throughout most of my middle school to high school years. So had a great upbringing, I would say. I myself, through high school and growing up, which I still am today, I was unsure of myself, really didn't know who I was, what I wanted to be. I didn't have purpose or a long-term goal of what I wanted to truly be. And I felt like, speaking of limiting beliefs, I didn't know what I could be. I saw everybody else sort of growing up, knowing what they wanted to be. And I was just following the mob, like you mentioned earlier, with no clear path on who I was and who I wanted to be and what I wanted to do. So my upbringing was pretty good. I can't complain at all about it. If anything, it was the demise or I seemed to mess it up, having so much opportunity around me that I felt like maybe more so just unclear without a path or a vision for myself. But my upbringing was great, actually. I actually had all the opportunities around me and ended up somehow messing it up for a good part of it.
Ooh, you brought up some very good points and some ear prick up moments there. It seemed, for me, as the one listening, you kind of interpreted it like we had all this, I don't know, the privileges or the luxuries. We kind of take those things for granted. And that's, I don't know. I mean, that's why you're here now. So tell us, I mean, obviously you've done a lot of work on yourself, and whatever that you're doing right now is to actually, I mean, in hindsight, in retrospect, you've done a lot of unlearning and relearning about who you are and who you want to be and how do you want to show up in the world. So
Yeah.
tell us, what was that? How did you nearly lose your life? Yeah, let's start with that.
So going through all those, like you said, very having these opportunities or not not I don't think I was entitled growing up, but I definitely had an easy upbringing, like I said, I didn't really have a ton of wants in
Mm,
life. I got a lot of things that I did want, so I didn't ever like have to chase or really worry about things that I wanted. It came to me, and it was given to me. But I also did work a good bit. I worked hard. I feel like I was a good kid for the most part, but just found my ways into things that were stealing true happiness from me, looking for happiness in the same places that I was losing it, right? And that's how it nearly costed my life. Throughout the later years of high school, didn't ultimately looking back, really didn't like myself because I wasn't building myself back then. I was falling into these things that were giving me false confidence, false happiness as far as drinking, drugs, chasing chicks, which there's nothing wrong with some of that stuff in moderation for sure, living life per se, or like a lot of people might say. But for me, that's what was fueling what I thought happiness was at the time. And that was only spiraling me down or taking me backwards, sabotaging me into a hole that was leading me nowhere fast, which was nearly losing my life. So, getting to the story of losing my life, or nearly, or should have, was me thinking I was a rock star, thinking I was 10 foot tall and bulletproof, partying Thursday through Sunday for the most part, living for the weekends. I had little odds and end jobs throughout high school and even outside of high school, doing helper type work that would just give me some money for the weekends type of deal. Again, graduated high school, went to college, community college, didn't have a path or a vision, so I just did it because that's what you were supposed to do, and didn't want to be there. Would skip a lot. Would go drink instead. Find my way into what I thought was fun at the time. Nonetheless, went to a party one night, one weekend, and don't really remember what all happened at the party, which wasn't a rarity in my case. And decided to get in my car and go home. I wanted to go sleep in my own bed. I don't
oh,
remember getting in the car. I don't
okay.
remember leaving the party. The people that were there that night just said Austin just disappeared. So I hopped in my car, supposedly went home because that's where I got close to and wrecked. I made it about a mile away from home and ran off the road. I didn't have anybody else in the car with me. I didn't hit anybody. Fortunately, it was 3 or 4 in the morning, so nobody else was out. Very fortunate of that. But ran off the road, flipped my car a couple times, and that's where things took a turn. EMS, first responders came, got me after somebody had called that somebody landed in their front yard. And I was taken to a hospital to where they realized that I had ruptured my intestines. So, like, perforated my bowel. I broke both my legs from the knees down and left ankle, and some other fractures within my body, too, that weren't as serious. But the most serious thing was me rupturing my intestines because that causes all your internal guts to sort of spill out into your stomach, into your cavity there in that area, which causes massive infection, and it's called peritonitis. And when I got to the hospital, they did emergency surgeries on me, cut me open from my sternum down to my pubic pelvis area, looked like a zipper, and spliced my guts back together, my intestines. And for weeks there in the hospital, I was fighting infection because they weren't able to fully clean me out. So for a while, I'm sure maybe you saw my profile. There's a picture of a wide open hole in my stomach where they left me open for a couple days to suck like infectious juices and fluids out of my abdomen. And fortunately, my white blood cell count, my fever, and all that stuff that they were worried about killing me, which was definitely on the edge. They had brought the chaplain in every day to talk to my family, talk to me. Uh, I guess because they thought that I probably wasn't going to pull through. Which, fortunately, whether it's through dumb luck, which I've had plenty of that on my side throughout my years, I was able to make it through that and fight off the infection, and they were able to close me back up somewhat permanently. And from there, I spent 6 weeks in that hospital. in that ICU. And from there, after I was able to leave the ICU, 6 weeks later, they sent me to a rehabilitation center, and not like a rehab center to where you go for addiction or something like that. It was like a physical rehab center. I was sent to live there for 2 months. So I lived in that rehab center for 2 months, learning how to do simple things you and I take for granted. Everybody takes for granted, like putting yourself on and off the toilet, getting yourself out of bed.
Are you stuck in a job that you don't love, feeling like you're meant for more? It is not in your head, it is in your soul. I am Nick Naras, and I help high achievers like you break free from burnout, rewire self-doubt, and build a life aligned with purpose through coaching, hypnotherapy, and soul activation. Because let's face it, real wealth isn't just about money, it is about aligned and happy heart, mind, and soul. Now, remember, you are worthy and you are enough. Let's transform your life together. Visit www.thenicknarasholisticlifestyle.com to begin.
Taking care of yourself. I had to learn how to re-walk again. And just many things that you just don't think you would forget how to do, but you do after you sit in a bed for 6 to 8 weeks. And to ramp it up, sort of close the story so we can dive into maybe some more details about this, is I was able to leave that rehab center about 2 months after I got there, walking on crutches, around my elbows, and got a job as a personal trainer, or a front desk job at a gym, which led to me being a personal trainer. And now I'm coaching people, helping them sort of break those same self-limiting beliefs and identity shift that I had when I was younger through fitness, through nutrition, and mindset training.
Wow. What I just want to say thank you for being so candid and so transparent with your story. Having your guts cut open is something. Okay, I did not see that photo of you, but I saw that photo of you in the hospital with a plaster on your stomach and on your abdomen, and that was it. But well, okay, what a times like that, we really think that okay, this my time is not up yet, and therefore I have to do something about it. And so right now, how would you, because you mentioned you were chasing happiness outside, right? How would you say, how would you define happiness right now? And what is happiness to you at the moment?
Happiness is self-improvement, self-development, for me at least. For most people, progress, results, that's what fuels the soul. If you're not progressing in some fashion in life, whether it's spiritually, financially, or physically, mentally, you probably aren't going to feel that great about yourself. I know I didn't. And that's why when I was constantly taking steps backwards in my life, my younger years of chasing happiness in the places I was losing it, like alcohol, like drugs, and none of those things are generalized bad. It's the intent behind you indulging
Yes,
in those things, right? The
exactly.
alcohol, if you're using it to make yourself feel better, if you don't ultimately feel good about yourself before you indulge or have a drink, and you're using it to make yourself feel better, it's only putting a band-aid on the issue that is growing under that band-aid.
Mhm.
Same thing with the drugs or chasing these other vices. It doesn't have to be alcohol or drugs. It could be food. It could be porn. It could be whatever. These things
Yes.
typically are pulling away from you. They're anchors, and they're only putting makeup on over top of something that really can't that needs to be faced head on and built upon. And typically, for me, and the way I help other people, is through some type of self-improvement, self-development program or process. And it's a daily actionable thing that we all can take action on, because it's just controlling those things that we can control throughout the day. There's a lot of things that we can't control, like the way we were born, or our parents, or our circumstances. But what we can do is control is our decisions, our actions daily. And those things, those actions or decisions, those habits that we all make within our lives, they can either build us or they can hold us back. And I help people sort of build their days to build them through actionable habits, for lack of better words.
Now this flows nicely into my next question then. You've rebuilt your body, your mindset, and now your mission. What were some of the biggest internal battles you had to conquer along the way?
Yeah, I still have to conquer them daily. It's a I talk with some people, when they jump in on my team, or they talk about uh, a lot of people are that come on my team are dealing with weight issues. They're overweight, have an excess amount of body fat, and ultimately that doesn't make you feel good about yourself either, and that makes you fall into other vices: food, drinking, drugs, whatever. just like my vices were, I was never overweight. I was always a skinny kid, but I just truly didn't like the way I was living because I was chasing happiness in these same areas that people are chasing it as well. But a thing that I have to work on daily and still some of the struggles of creating the Austin that it is today is not alignment. It's not falling back into my old ways. Realizing that your old ways, my old ways of thinking, of acting, of living got me to a place that I didn't want to be, a person that I didn't want to live like. And for that to change, I must change my actions, my habits, not just my thoughts. The thoughts is a good start, not just my words, because those don't change us either. It's our daily actions and decisions that are going to change us. And for me, it's having those actions and decisions aligned with the future version of Austin. What does that version of Austin want to look like, live like, show up like? What does he want to conduct himself like? That person he admires, who is that? Start to get aligned with that person, with your habits and actions daily. And for me, that's the daily struggle. And it is to this day, because I could easily fall back into, fuck it, I'm gonna go have a drink. Yeah, I don't care about what I
I'm
eat
not
today.
gonna do. Yeah, I'm not gonna do
Yeah, I'm not
weights.
gonna do
I'm
that
gonna do.
workout. Yeah, I'm gonna sleep in. Yeah, I'm gonna go back out. It's Thursday night. We're gonna hit the club. We're gonna go back to the bar. And I could easily fall back into those old ways, which I did, even after nearly losing my life. It wasn't a complete easy 180 turn after I left that rehab center. I could go through many stories of me still getting locked up, nearly on the same
Wow.
path. Yeah, I was arrested
Thank you.
within a year. Within a year after that wreck, I was arrested. I was detained. I wasn't arrested. I'll rephrase that. So I was handcuffed, but they let me go. But it was another night of me being blackout drunk, and I drove a golf cart into somebody's house,
Oh my,
into the side of the house. Yeah. I mean, I laugh about it now because I realized the idiot that I was and how just I thought I could go back to my old ways and things would change. And like somehow I wouldn't fall back into that same pattern. And
that is so
it's not the
powerful.
case for anybody. Your identity has to change. Your habits, your way of conduct has to change if you want things to change. You can't expect to do the same thing or eat the same thing, do the same thing and expect a different result or
Mm,
hang out with the same people. I think that was a big thing for me as well, is hanging around the same environment, the same people, expecting a different outcome because they weren't in a position to change. So why did I expect myself to change? But yeah, so I still touch that hot stove many times and burn myself, even after nearly losing my life. So it took a few more touches of that hot thing to be like, damn, that doesn't feel good. I see where this is going. Something I need something with a higher purpose of that would keep me aligned and keep me away from that path.
mhm.
And having these set habits of fitness, nutrition, and some type of self development process, whether it's reading books or finding better habits and hobbies that kept me away from that. And not away. I still, even though I nearly lost my life from drinking, I still occasionally have a drink here or there. I've built up enough discipline and enough awareness over
Yes.
time. And
Yeah.
that may not be the case for everybody. Some people, you
Mhm.
need to completely remove it out of your life.
Completely.
And I get
Yeah.
that. I work, plenty of people are within my group that are going through sobriety or recovery, whether it's
Mhm.
heroin and or just alcohol. It's the real deal with people having their own struggles out there. And some people, it needs to completely remove from their life. For me, I've been able to have I don't like the word balance because I don't think that it's a real thing, but I've been able to have discipline to say, hey, I can have a drink with my wife at dinner, or I can indulge in some wine on a night out, not getting blacked out and thinking I'm a rock star like I used to. But I can do that and say, okay, I'm done and move on with the day, or the evening. But for me, it's a set of daily actionable habits that help keep me aligned with that person I want to live like and show up like. And that old way is not the way I want to be.
It's like you're leading yourself, right? That takes a lot of effort, a lot of courage, I would say, because at any time, because we are all free. I mean, we're free in everything. We're free, but then we're not free if, again, this is the paradox of it, right? We're free to do anything that we want. We're also free to do anything that we don't want to do, So
Yeah.
it can go both ways, like the good and the bad side of things. And so now you talk a lot about working with your helping your clients. So what are the common themes or common limiting beliefs that you often see or manifest in your clients, and how do you actually help them? Like take one case for example. Hi, I'm Nick Nieras, your host of the Your Worthless podcast. Now, if this real raw stories hit home, don't wait. Please follow, like, and subscribe my Spotify and YouTube. For bite-sized inspirational reels, follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn. Don't wait. Your transformation starts today. Thank you, and bye for now.
Yeah, one case is, my family's all more so like a genetic, like a blanket they'll put over. Like, yeah, all my family's big, as big as an overweight, like, oh, it's just, we're all big boned, whatever. That's probably the more common thing. There's plenty of other things too, like, oh, I'm not a runner, or, not that I make people run or anything like that, but I'm not this or I'm not that. And of course, the moment you put that label on something, of course, you're right.
You believe
You
it.
aren't because
Yeah.
you say it, right?
Yes.
And a lot of people, for example, they'll be doing an exercise because I'm in a gym. I have my own private gym now. We'll be going because I do coach people in person as well. I do primarily online, but I do coach people here at the gym, and they'll be doing an exercise, or I'll say, "Hey, let's go do this whatever exercise," and they say, "Oh, I can't do that," and they'll say they can't do it while they're doing it. You know what I'm saying? And they just don't realize that they can. It's their old, for lack of better terms, I'm a little blunt. It's their old bitch ass ways, because I have my old bitch ass ways as well. That is like, oh, it just feels a little uncomfortable. It's insert whatever little excuse or story that we all tell
Mm.
ourselves, because our mind knows exactly what to tell ourselves on talking our way out of doing something or reasoning why we can't do it. When all you got to do is just do it, and the moment you take that leap or take that first step, is the quickest way to building belief and or shining a light on the path you should be walking. The path illuminates as you walk it. So you're gonna feel fearful at first, until you take that first initial step and you'd be like, okay, I can see where this is going. This starts to feel right. I can do this now. I held my I took the leap today. I did it. Okay, I didn't die. I didn't fail. Whatever the case, I can do it again tomorrow. And the more times, the more repetitions you put into something, not just in the weights or not just with exercising, with anything new or uncomfortable or fearful, the more belief you build into yourself. It's creating the work, the action, the work comes before the belief. You won't have belief in yourself at all until you just take the first steps. Just like learning how to play piano or guitar. Of course, you're not going to be great at it, but the more you do it, the more you practice it, give it intention, awareness, the more belief is built rep after rep. But the vice versa, the more you skip it, the more you avoid it, the more you put it off, the bigger that pile or mountain of disbelief sits in front of you. Almost, it becomes bigger and bigger, and it becomes scarier and scarier the more you put it off. So the quicker you can just cut the head off the snake and just say, all right, today I'm doing it, and start to stack one little brick of belief on top of the other. Next thing you know, you have a nice big old house of belief, for an analogy.
I love that. So what does your day-to-day look like? Tell us
So,
your rituals and your practices.
yeah, for me, my daily ritual, or like, I'm definitely a routine guy. So for today, I have a set wake up time. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I, to give some context of what I'm about to break down within the day, it took me a while to realize this, but the moment you can take control of the things that we all can control, uh, the more you seem to make time within your day, the more confidence
Oh,
you build into your day.
you'll have more hours. You'll get more hours in a day.
Yeah, because you become more intentful, or at least more aware about
Right.
like where you're wasting time and where you're actually able
Mm,
to make time. So for me, I
that
start
is
the
right.
morning off early, or early for me. I typically wake up around 4 a.m. every day, and from there, and I haven't always been that way. I'd say over the past probably 3 to 4 years, I've started to do that. It started off me waking up at 6 a.m. I used to wake up at 7. Now I'm going to wake up at 6. And then once that became sort of normal, I was like, all right, I'll try and wake up at 5:30 or 5. And now it's 4. I don't need to wake up any earlier than that. Some days I can sleep in, but typically it's at 4 a.m. just to get ahead of the day. And what I mean by that is, or win the morning, is for me to knock out all those little things that I always wish I said I had time to do and knock them out first thing. And the reason why you must win the morning, at least in my eyes, in my opinion, is because the moment you can knock out those little things like, all right, I'm going to prepare my meals for the day so I can control what I eat for the day. So I have no excuse on like, I didn't have food with me, so now I got to eat some bullshit that's at work that doesn't serve a purpose for me and what makes me feel good, what builds me. So I'm going to control that by waking up early, having my meals set for the day. I'm going to wake up early and try and read a little bit, something hopefully thought provoking, give it a positive nugget, forward thought for the day. So something that's nonfiction, hopefully self improvement, to give a spark, give some type of inspiration for the day. And I don't read a bunch. I'm a slow reader. I'm a dummy. So maybe a page or two, whatever
No.
if I can get a small sentence in that's like a nugget, and it's like, damn, okay, that made me think a little bit differently this morning. I close the book right there. Some days it might be a page, some days it might be 5 pages in, But I do try and give attention or intention about that each morning. So wake up early, read a little bit, have my meal set for the day, which I do that all within 20 minutes. This isn't some hours.
20 minutes?
Yeah, this isn't all like, by 4, if I wake up at 4, by 4:30, like I've typically already read a page or two. It doesn't take you it shouldn't take you tons of time to do that unless you're messing around or effing around. Have my meals set. Typically, I make all my meals on the weekends and I just put the Tupperware out. So I set them out, ready to go. And then from there, I try and head to my gym or any gym. But even before I had this gym, I'd go to another gym and I would try and get a workout in for the day, for the morning. And the reason I do that in the morning, I used to work out in the evening. I used to do it after work, because I didn't want to wake up early and whatever. But one of the bigger excuses or stories that I get from clients, and even myself for a long time, was, oh, I had a long day at work. X, Y, and Z popped up. This thing popped up in my schedule in my lap that I didn't account for. So now I don't have time to work out after work. No, it doesn't matter now because Austin took care of his shit first thing in the morning before the day started. So I got the things that I can control done. So if the world happens to burn up around me at the end of the workday, it doesn't matter because I got my stuff done. So if I got to send this email out, make this errand, run out here, run out there, whatever, it's okay. Am I going to be pissed off or like, am I going to be happy to go do it? Probably not. That's okay. But knowing that I took accountability for my actions in my day, knocking those things out first thing in the morning. So whatever the day unfolds, it's okay. Because a lot of people, including myself for a long time, I'd find myself in the excuse like, oh, yeah, I can't go do that, this or that now. And the thing is, that one-off day, like you miss whatever that may be, those little things you always say you wish you had time for, and you tried to do it after work and you just missed it. That's okay if it happens one-off or every so often. But the problem is most people leave that door cracked. And next thing you know, Monday turns to Tuesday, Tuesday turns to Wednesday. And next thing you know, 7 days goes by, 14 days goes by, 30 days goes by where they keep skipping it habitually, whatever that thing may be, wondering why nothing's changing. It's because they haven't taken control or accountability with their day. And that's like just adulting shit, right? Like it's nothing like special. It's just taking accountability of you and what you can control. And so that's just pretty much the morning, and that's how my routine is. And then after that, typically I'm done working out by like 6:30 in the morning. And then I go into my first couple clients of the day. Typically I'm training or coaching people in person here at my gym. And then after that, I have like a gap in the middle of the day when people are actually at work. And that's when I handle a lot of my online client work, people that I work with online through my app. And typically, not every day, I most likely train and coach people after they get off work, so in the evening. So overall, my day, I'm done typically by like 5 or 6 p.m., sometimes 7, depends, but not every day. So 7 to about 5 or 7 in the evening, I'm on and off working. And then when I get home, I hang out with my wife.
So how important is sleep to you? What time do you go to bed?
That's important. I probably go to bed at 10:30. I get about 5.5, upwards of 6 hours of sleep a day.
Okay, I have a question. Now, you've made it through the 100-mile cycle ride, right?
Yeah.
And you've proven the power of physical milestones. So what role does physical discipline play in shaping self-worth and resilience?
Oh gosh. Well, the thing is, if somebody doesn't like the way they look in the mirror, like fuck what everybody else thinks about them. Like solely they're in their bedroom, doors closed, shades pulled down. They look at themselves in the mirror. Do they respect what they see in the mirror? Do they admire what they see in the mirror? Do they even like at all what they see in the mirror? If they don't, it's very hard to be present if you don't. It's very hard to be present if you don't like your presence, right? And you're
Ooh,
gonna
I
have
like
that.
that. Let's
You're
repeat
gonna
that.
have
It's
that
very hard to be present if you don't like your presence. Oh, that's a good one.
straight up. Because if you don't like what you see in the mirror, it's going to involuntarily, even if you aren't acting it, it's going to show when you're out and about. Because you're either going to be self-conscious, oh, I'm going to try and avoid pictures, outings, videos, whatever, not truly being able to live. And that's going to eat away at you a little bit. And
Mm.
even though you could be like, oh, Austin doesn't know anything about that because he's never been severely overweight. Well, the thing is, I've never liked myself to begin with, and it wasn't until I started to build myself, and I'm not saying build this physical out like this shell that you see of me now. It's knowing that I'm putting in this mental grit, fortitude, mental toughness into myself that has built this physical exterior. I mean, of course, yes, I want to look a certain way. Who doesn't, right? We're living in the real world. Looks are a real thing. We can say
Mm-hmm.
these affirmations and whatnot, but it's all BS until you actually put in some type of action or action. Uh,
Preach.
it's just I've dealt with it long enough myself to where it's just I know that it's a real thing. Physical fitness, your physical being outside of like your facial features, you can change the rest of your body. You don't have to live in a way that you aren't truly comfortable. Are you always? It's a journey of being two things. It's an endless process. So we are our own worst critics. We're never going to be happy. We're never going to be satisfied. And that's also a natural thing too. I mean, we can try and be stoic and be grateful, which is something you have to work on daily. It's like a skill of being grateful because if you don't practice it, you're never going to probably feel grateful about the things that you've got in front of you until you give it attention and awareness. But at the same time, you're always going to feel never satisfied either. And that's just, you're never going to feel satisfied if you're a complete fat fuck and out of shape. And you're never going to be satisfied if you're in shape and going on the path either, but you'll be at least proud the latter. The other way you
Mm.
won't.
Right.
It's going to be a struggle and never taking action and just sitting back
Mm-hmm.
hoping things are just going to magically change for you. But
Mm-hmm.
vice versa, the other way, it's going to be a struggle as well, but at least you'll be proud because you know you're taking action, taking the steps forward to actually build yourself. And that's what I see a lot within my group is the moment they start to take accountability and action of those daily things that they can do and can control, uh, is it compounds. It builds like momentum, like a compounding savings account. It has interest in it. And the more deposits you make into it through actionable decisions, daily habits, the more that bank account grows and confidence and belief and self-love, if we want to use that word. You begin to respect yourself because you're building yourself. So
I
and all in all, physical fitness is huge for everybody, not just me, not just you. Again, you don't have to be some jacked guy. It's knowing that you're making deposits into yourself. It
yeah.
builds yourself internally, 100%.
Exactly. And when you said about self-confidence, I wrote about this a couple of weeks back. Actually, we don't self-confidence, it comes from you taking action. Then you'll get the confidence because if you don't take any, if you just think that you're confident, okay, but until you take that first step, for example, if you want to be a uh I don't know what a swimmer, for example. Yeah, I'm confident that I'm able to swim, but then if I want to compete in that triathlon, I have to actually practice it, and then I'll get my confidence that okay, that I'm gonna be able to finish it. So I always think about confidence as you taking that first step and progress over perfection. I think that's
Yes.
also one of the key thing that I'm a perfectionist. Not just in any before I submit anything. Since I was a kid, I have to make sure that everything's perfect. Even right now, like producing content. But right now, it's just I get better and speaking as well. if I were to look at myself a year back, I've definitely made progress because, I'm just like that.
Yeah. Well, I agree. Progress over perfection. And there's something to know that, like, I like things, I'm a perfectionist. It just means that you actually care. Like, right? Like,
Oh,
that's a good thing.
yes.
Right? I see it as
Yes.
that way. Because a lot of people can get hard on themselves, and it's like, yeah, but that just means you care.
Mm,
That's a good thing. It's a good sign.
thank you. Okay, Austin. So, what is your program? Can you share with us what do you how do you help your clients and of those tuning in right now, they want to know about your program. What
Yeah.
what are they?
So what I do is I work, like I said earlier, I primarily work with a lot of people online within a private coaching app that I have. And what I do within that is help build their days to build them, like I mentioned. And we do that through those things we can control. And I'm a simpleton guy. I'm a very simple, average guy. If it gets overcomplicated, I'm out. Like, straight up. I'm very simple. And what I do is I build simple plan as far as getting their nutrition together, their training or exercise, and then what are they doing for their mindset? And mindset training, somebody be like, what's mindset training? How do you do that? And it's doing what you don't want to do when you don't want to do it. Typically, that's how you do mindset training, because our mindset, our way of thinking, is typically what holds us up the most. It's not, it's not truly, a lot of the times, these mountain moving things or these giant leaps of action. It's our way of thinking that has always held everybody back. It's like, I know what I'm doing, or I know what's best for me. And sometimes that's not the case. And even for me, it'd be hypocritical for me to not have hired or worked with a coach before in my past, which within the past year I have. So sometimes you have to remove your ego, your pride out the way, and get an outside perspective of being like, okay, just give me the checklist of things that I need to start implementing on, or habits that I need to start implementing in my days, and attack it one day at a time. It's like winning the day. We just want to win one day at a time. And if we can do that, it's just like eating an elephant. You do it one bite at a time. Because a lot of people will say, "Oh man, I got 50 pounds to lose. I got 100 pounds to lose, or whatever." No, we just have 1 pound to lose, one pound at a time. And when you can break it down like that into a daily process, which I do within my programs, it's just literally those three things: controlling what we do with our body and what we put into our mind, or how we develop the mind, which might be different things for different people. It's not cookie cutter across the board. Your process or daily actions I might give you, or habits that I might give you, might be a smidge different than what I might give a Tom or whoever, But for the most part, it's just, I can guarantee it's not outside of your control. Anything that I get anybody to do, and it's something that I also do as well. I don't just preach it; I live it. Like I said, we're only as
Mm-hmm.
good as the example we set with that quote at the beginning,
Mm.
and I live it that way. It's not the best way to lead; it's the only way to lead. It's leading by example.
Ooh, so that is so powerful. What are you working on currently?
Right now, continuing to get more impact and reach through my social media. So I have a friend of mine that this might be a little boring or sounding. It's not any, again, going back to everything that I do is super simple. It's just doing what I do, but trying to get more output out of it. So for me, it's content that's going to help reach more people and find people that are maybe going through a rough struggle or a spot or hurdle in life, like was with myself, or many of my other clients do. And I want to be able to get more content going out about that to help impact, reach more people, and if not even just reach more people, at least inspire them to start taking the first steps today. Be like,
Mm.
okay, Austin doesn't miss. He tries to show up as best he can daily. Damn, he showed up again today, because they hopefully follow me on social media and they see me posting that, hey, I'm doing this, doing that again today. Not to show off or flex, but to say, hey, I'm in it with you. Literally am in the daily struggle with you, whatever that hurdle or process might be. And Austin showed up again today. If he did it, I can do it too. And that's my goal. That's what I'm working on now, is just start documenting a little bit more with content. So I have a guy that's going to be helping me here in the next week or so about content filming, stuff like that. Outside of that, nothing else big. I do have a rental property so I do things outside of fitness. From the outside looking in, everybody
Oh,
thinks
Austin is
this
human
guy,
too.
all this guy does is work out. That's all he does. I laugh. I think it's cute. It's very cute, because you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
That I don't spend my whole time working out. I knock it out within under an hour typically. And then I'm on with the day working. I'm typically helping others. I might be in the gym, but I'm not working out. I actually have a life. I have a home. I have a rental property. I have a wife. I've got 3 cats. Like I live life. I just went to this past weekend. We just went to the Grand Canyon. We took a little long weekend, went out to the Grand Canyon, and we hiked the Grand Canyon, 21 miles. Yeah, we did it in
Brilliant.
one
Okay,
day.
so we know that Austin is still human. Those listening, okay, he might
I
look.
mean, literally,
He's
the thing is, I want this to come across the right way. I started
Mm,
from absolute zero. Now, I'm not
yeah.
some great physical specimen. I'm not some Greek god, or I'm not some perfect saint that it might seem like. It's taken years of daily
Mm.
refinement and daily work. Like, it's a never ending process. This is an endless process of refinement, of self development, self improvement. And if you aren't at least trying to take some actionable, small little actionable steps daily, that 1% rule of like, let me do a little 1% more than yesterday, or let me try and get better 1% more than yesterday, you're never going to probably get anything different. And you're going to live 20, 30 years and wake up at 40, which I'm knocking on that door not too long from now, of being like, damn, what the hell have I done with my life? Why haven't things gone the way I envisioned it? Because you haven't started to just take one little baby step one day at a time to start controlling those things you can control. And typically it's the habits that are going to, those daily habits are going to build that future or that version of yourself, that life that you want to live. And that's today. You know, it's almost like planting a tree. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, because now you'd have a nice full grown tree. But the next best time to plant it is right now, you know? But I
Ah,
started from
you
ground
are the
zero. I literally
preacher.
started in a wheelchair, you know, looking at me physically, as far as like the physical aspect and being, you know, physical fitness. I started in a wheelchair 14 years ago, 2010, so 15 years ago. I was curling Gatorade bottles in a wheelchair, like the drinks. That's what I started with. Curling Gatorade
Oh
bottle,
my
like a
god.
SpongeBob
Oh
cartoon.
my god.
Yeah. So you can start literally, it doesn't matter where you're at, you can do it too. You can.
Okay, that's the message I needed to hear today. And so, Austin, okay, we're gonna pivot to a self-worth question. The question for you that I have right now: what role do societal expectations and external validation play in shaping our self-worth? Number one, and number two, how can we break free from these influences and find our intrinsic value?
That's tough because we all like outside validation. We all want praise, right? I do.
We
And
all
it feels
crave
good.
that. Yeah, it feels
It
good.
feels really good. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's not going to bring true happiness. It's what you see in the mirror, who you are, how you conduct yourself. And I think one thing that helps maybe break that, and it's something that I've implemented with quite a few people within my group, and I try and do it not as like, I'm using it as an analogy, but it's not as like straightforward as what I'm about to break down, but having a personal brand book for yourself. And this is going to help bring contentment within your life, because it's building the person who I want to be. It's not what my mom wants me to be. It's not what my friends want me to be. It's not what society wants me to be. It's who I want to be, and building that person out. And it's a personal brand book. I don't know about Malaysia, but you've been to the States, right?
Hmm.
Okay, so
I have.
let's think of a brand like Chevrolet, like the car Chevy, or like
Yes.
a motorcycle like Harley Davidson. They have
Mm-hmm.
a brand book of what their brand stands for, what that brand does, what they look like, or what
Mm-hmm.
they don't look like, what they don't do. And that's like an analogy that I could probably give people that might be listening. And something that I try and do myself is, all right, what is the future version of Austin that I envision, that version that I envision of myself? What does that version look like? How does he conduct himself? What does he do and what does he don't do? And start to build your days. This sounds very repetitive because I'm a very simple guy. Build your days, because that's how we change it one day at a time. That are in alignment with that brand book that you write out for yourself. So what does Nicolette? How does she show up every day? What does she do every day? And if you're unsure of where to start, like, I don't know what I'd want to do every day. There's somebody within your life, my life, that we admire, that we follow, whether it's on social media, whether it's somebody that's near to us in our, like in real life. There's somebody we admire and we look up to. And we're like, damn, they've got it going on. I wish I had a little bit of what they got. If you have that person in your life, which we all probably do, whether it's on social media or in real life, start to write down what that person does daily, and not like the things that are outside of your control, like their financial status, But like, how does that person conduct themselves? Do they drink? Do they party? Do they do drugs? Do they monitor what they eat? Do they just dick off all day? Like, start to watch how they conduct themselves and start to implement. Okay, Austin is going to start doing this. I see that person exercises daily. Okay, I'm going to start doing that. Okay, that person doesn't drink. Okay, let me try and avoid that as much as possible. Austin doesn't do that anymore. At least he tries to. It's not about being perfect. It's about being consistent. If you fall off here or there, that's okay. One bad day isn't going to completely ruin your life unless you killed somebody or something like that, or you kill yourself. And one good day isn't going to completely change your life either. It's what we do every day that is going to keep us aligned or keep us on the path of that North Star that you should be aiming for, which is that future version of yourself. And you can build that out with like a personal brand book, or like a brand of a car dealership would, or any business. You know, they have a brand book of, all right, here's the things that we do and here's the things we don't do, and start listing those things out. And then it's not only just listing them out, it's going through it daily, keeping that in the back of your mind of, okay, I'm not religious, but there's an old saying, because I grew up with my parents being religious, the saying of what would Jesus do? The WWJD. Insert whatever person you admire, and what would Austin do in this moment? Would he do this or would he do that? That's how you should be thinking with that brand book. Would the future version of Austin do this, or the future version of Austin to do that? And that's how you make your decisions of like, okay, should I go out tonight? What would that version of Austin do? Is he probably going out? Probably not. You know, not that he's not having fun and living life, but like there's things that you know that are serving you and things that you know that aren't serving you, and trying to get aligned with the things that are serving you more than the latter.
Mm.
Hopefully that helped. I realize I
Oh
rambled a
yeah.
lot, but
No, that was like a personal downloads for me from the source. It's like, okay,
yeah,
because I believe don't look at the messenger so much. Look at the message, because we're getting all these messages from anywhere and anybody, and I speak to a lot of people, and for sure everything that I hear from them I take in, and I apply that in my life. So thank you for that, Austin.
yeah. Hopefully that answers the question.
It does, definitely. Okay, what is your heart's greatest wish?
My heart's greatest wish?
Yeah.
Dang. I've never been asked that.
Well, glad to be the first one.
My heart's greatest wish. There, when you see they always say, I don't know who they is, but the shooting star, or seeing like the 11:11 on the clock, like make a wish type of thing. And I think of when that question hit, it made me think about that. And there was something when I was younger, when I say younger, 10, 15 years ago, that when I would see a shooting star, see those numbers on the clock that were you're supposed to make a wish. The wish I always made was very vague. You asking me that question, it's still in alignment with what I used to say, but I need to define it a little bit more, because I think without clear goals, you're going to not have clear results, or you're probably not going to have any results at all. But that thing that I used to say to myself, that I never said it out loud because I thought it would break the wish. But for the purpose of the podcast, it was,
Oh,
I wanted to
thank
be
you.
happy. I want to be happy and successful. And I think you can do both those, but without a clear cut goal. Me just saying that back in the day, now that you said that, it's not going to have any weight behind it, because what makes me happy, that's something that I need to answer. And what do I have to define as successful? That's something that I would need to answer as well. And I think they do go hand in hand, because without having some type of, not saying success is like a financial status, but without having some type of value of success in your life, and it may not be an end all success. It could be just a goal, a short term goal of like, oh, I had success with this short term monthly goal that I had. I think for me, my heart's wish is to never stop, never stop chasing never stop chasing happiness and the places that are fueling it. And for me, as long as I can continue to exercise and improve myself, regardless of the circumstance, if I was paralyzed, whatever, knock on wood, you know, I want to still
You're
know that
not going to.
I can control a lot of those things that would bring me happiness. Obviously, and vice versa, avoid those things that don't bring me happiness and sabotage me, take steps backwards. I wish I had a little bit more thought behind it or a little more time to think. But
Well,
I know that's broad,
that
but
came from your heart.
yeah. And
I'm go-
it's weird that I never really put much thought behind that of like my
Mm.
heart's wish.
Well, I hope that was a thought provoking question for you.
Yeah,
Maybe
thank you. No,
so.
it'll mess me
You're
up for the
very
rest of the day
welcome.
probably.
Okay, one more question before we wrap it up. If you could create a quote right now for you to leave to the audience listening and the world as your legacy, what would it be?
I feel like I've already said it, you and I both, that we are only as good as the example we set. It's not what we say or what we talk about or think about, it's what we do. But another one that I have, and I'm going to steal it from a mentor of mine, I fall back into it and I have to remind myself is even throughout my wreck and all those things that have happened to me and that have happened to you and anybody that's listening to this, like the woe is me story is, we're not victims of our circumstances. We are victims of our decisions. Like you said, we can make a decision that's going to build us, or we have the freedom of choice to make decisions that are going to sabotage us. And we're not victims of the circumstance. We're victims of those decisions.
Whew. Okay. Thank you for that, Austin. Now, how can people reach out to you?
Super active on Instagram. I would love for anybody that has questions or needs some help. Give me a follow. Shoot me a DM. I drop a ton of Q&A boxes in my stories. But I'm at a page man on Instagram. And of course, you can reach me on my coaching website. That's www.gymflocoaching.com. And you can find me on there as well.
Brilliant. So, any last messages for our listeners before we wrap this up?
Yes, today's the day to flip the switch. Not the two most worthless days of the year are yesterday and tomorrow, because all we have is today. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, and we can't change what happened yesterday. All we've got is what we do with our self today to make a deposit into our self tomorrow.
Whew! Mic drop.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, that is a wrap on today's episode with Austin Page. Thank you, Austin, for your wisdom and for your work to continue to uplift others and the world around you. Now, for our listeners, this has been Your Worthless. Read that again, the juxtaposition of your very soul. Now, if you've ever felt worthless, remember you are not alone. Your soul chose to be here to matter. And for that reason alone, you are worthy. A huge thank you to you again, Austin, and to all of you for listening. Until next time, I am Nick Nieras. Keep shining, keep growing, and always remember, you are worthy and you are enough. See you in the next episode. Thank you, Austin, for your time.
Thank you, Nick.
Love this episode? Now, transformation doesn't end here. Head on to @holistic.lifestyle_with_Nick. That is on my Instagram. Or head on to my website, www.denise.holisticlifestyle.com for more info on my coaching framework, which is the Worthy, Authentic, and Abundant Framework, digital guides, and my upcoming events such as retreats and master classes and workshops. Now, I also do intuitive readings where we get to check on your soul path. And if you're also wanting to check on your energetic alignment, I have done that too. And I offer that kind of services. So, my question to you is, are you ready? Because I am. Let's create your lifestyle. Hi, Austin. Good morning to you. How are you doing today?
I am well. I appreciate you having me on.
No, I would like to thank you for saying yes to be interviewed today. I'd like to introduce myself to you formally and to all of the listeners tuning in for the first time and returning subscribers. My name is Nicolette. I am the creator for the podcast titled Your